Curse of Chernobyl. Being something of a capitalistic magician, Cornelius Vanderbilt became incredibly wealthy by employing the magical services of the magnetic healer and spiritualist Victoria Woodhull, who incidentally was also the first woman to run for President of the United States. This is akin to mystic capitalism. On the other hand, within the official godless world of international communism, the Soviet state mystics realized they were doomed as an idealistic society. When on April 26, 1986, the number 4 reactor at the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant ruptured and became a catastrophic nuclear disaster. Soon it was recognized that the reactor had been cursed from the very start. When the Soviet leadership lost control of the situation, sorcery invariably took over. The term Chernobyl within Slavic witchcraft just so happens to be the Russian version of the incantation abracadabra. It is said that prayer is usually the last refuge of a scoundrel. If the scoundrel happens to be a powerful individual or institution, then it is sorcery which becomes their last refuge. The power plant itself was built within the heart of a Ukrainian magical landscape, steeped in Slavic occult and folklore traditions. At first, the Soviet leadership kept the disaster quiet, but when the full implications of the disaster became apparent, coupled with their sense of dread and doom at the realization of the curse having been unleashed, the Russian news agency TASS waited until April 30th, or the Witches' Sabbath of Walpurgis Night, to break the news of the disaster to the world. If this wasn't remarkable enough, within the Ukrainian language, the word Chernobyl also translates as the name for the toxic plant known as wormwood. Within Hebrew mysticism, the term of wormwood translates as la'ana, which means curse in both Arabic and Hebrew. La'ana even makes its way into the book of Revelations, which is the only magically orientated book of the Christian Bible. Being essentially a complex curse issued against the Roman Emperor Nero, the third angel sounded his trumpet, and a great star blazing like a torch fell from the sky on a third of the rivers and on the spring of water. The name of the star is wormwood. A third of the waters turned bitter, and many people died from the waters that had become bitter. The 1991 conference at Fordham University, funded by the likes of George Soros, bastard, and attended by some of the top academics of the time, came into being for no other reason than these Western academics and globalists are just as amazed and fascinated by the strangeness of such phenomena as the Chernobyl wormwood revelation, as much as you are probably reading about this right now or watching. The unfolding mythological aspects as well as the synchronistic occurrences surrounding the emerging sorcery of the likes of the Chernobyl disaster would have been duly noted by the Western elites. Our rational and scientific overlords are fully aware that there are forces beyond the material world which are profoundly interconnected with human consciousness. That these supernatural events and experiences do in fact exist. How these forces can be called upon directly or else become unleashed through curses, and can also be used to effect changes within this reality, not to mention as predicting, if not influencing, the outcome of future events. At some point, the notions of coincidence and chance have to step to one side, as the other, less prosaic assumptions demand to be entertained. Naturally, they will never admit such things as a profound interest, let alone their well-documented beliefs and practices, into sorcery and the occult publicly. A lot of this has to do with the fact that they can't measure nor accurately reproduce these bewildering phenomena using the accepted scientific methods. They are put at something of a useful disadvantage by the demands of their own ethos. In that what they can't fully understand themselves put them under no obligation to explain such experiences to the rest of us. Denial of the craft has been standard practice since the formation of Freemasonry. Along with the cover story being put out there that ceremonial rituals of these occult societies are merely a social aspect of the craft, partaking for fraternal and traditional pursuits and enacted by reasoned, respectable, and rational gentlemen. These are the same reasoned, respectable, and rational American billionaire industrialist gentlemen who hired magnetic healers as personal magicians, the same reasoned, respectable, and rational gentlemen who took the spiritualism movement of the late Victorian era very seriously indeed. Even into the domain of the sciences and emerging technologies of the period, the same reasoned, respectable, and rational gentlemen who then filled magical orders such as the Ordo Hermeticus Aurorae Aureae, otherwise known as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, Mr. Crowley. The same leaders of society who tell you that to laugh and scoff at the occult and magical ritual, while they themselves take it very seriously. The class system didn't begin and end with economics alone. Their gated communities protect much more than the family jewels and silver cutlery from the hands of the unclean and profane.